Hello everyone and welcome back to the pit. Look at what arrived just today. Yep, it's Armies of the United States, 3rd edition of course, for bolt action. So let's take a look at it together. So it's soft cover, just like the German Armies of Germany. It's 110 pages. As usual, we have the initial. I gave it just a very cursory look before recording this. As usual, introduction, what happens, some new illustrations. I think I usually don't spend too much time looking at illustrations, truth be told, but there are a couple. First 20-ish pages. Then we get to the army list. So we have the, as usual, army special rules. Nothing new from the leaks, so to speak. We have fire and maneuver. We have air superiority. We have modern communications. We have by air, land and sea, which, as any of you has followed me for even a brief period of time, know that I loathe this kind of rules. It was the same with Defend the Fatherlands. And then we have the sort of extra rules. We still have the gyro stabilizers, which should prove technically more useful in this edition, because coupled with the +1 to hit from an anti-tank weapon against vehicles means that your veteran tanks or vehicles in general get to basically move and still hit on a 3+, which is good. We have shotguns, again nothing new, 18-inch range, one shot, no pen, assault, same. Demolition charges, which were the same as with the armies of Germany. We have the Colin hedgerow cutter, which can be added for +5 points, and basically allows you to clear a passage in a section of bocage or hedgerows in order to make room for other vehicles, because when the vehicles with the hedgerow cutter moves over one section, the section is actually destroyed and removed from the table. Again, a rule that finds its main reason to exist in battles fought in Normandy, which is where most of the bocage happened to be during the Second World War. Then we start dealing with the units. Officers were already spoiled, so to speak. Usual options. Once again, I don't get it why paratroopers commanders get so many extra people. Beats me. Usual medics, chaplains. Chaplains can be used to remove on a base of 4+, 1 pin marker from a friendly unit within 6 inches of the chaplain himself. Again, you can add 1 chaplain per force, which means pretty much like a company commander. Again, I don't think it will see so much use, honestly. Then the forward observers, usual stuff. We have the poor foot locking slogging, sorry, GIs, which can be inexperienced, regular, or veteran. So they can be everything they want to be. They no longer have the option of taking more than one BAR. So if I recall correctly, in the old Army book, if you took veteran riflemen, you got to add more BARs. But then again, with the new I was about to say improved, let's say with the new fire and maneuver rule, probably, and since the BAR now costs 6 points, you might as well not even take BARs, just add more rifles. Then we start having a whole lot of armored infantry something. We have the armored infantry rifle squad, which works more or less like Panzer Grenadiers. Difference being that they get to reroll any failed order that require them to mount or dismount a transport, and if the transport is destroyed, they only suffer D3 hits rather than D6. This comes at a cost of one singular point more than a regular trooper, which is okay. I mean, again, this all comes into play because of the new, let me call it, obsession with transports, with vehicles, which on the one hand I like, because one thing I always wanted to try when playing 2nd edition was using mechanized or motorized forces, but transports were so stupidly expensive, and you almost never got them unless you got them, for example, for troops like engineers or other assault squads. So in a sense it is good that vehicles are more viable. One thing I don't think was needed is to have specialist troops. I mean, why can't... I mean, you can use, of course, rifle troopers to ride on vehicles, but then again, the armored infantry, I guess, overall is better. Because, you know, I don't know how many times it happened to you. It happened to me many times. You drive in with a unit inside of a transport, the enemy immediately starts to shoot at the transports in the hope of A, destroying said transports, and B, pinning the carried troopers. So having a reroll on the order to get out is very, very good. Then we have the armored infantry mortar squad, which is basically a smaller infantry squad with the same generic rule, which is called mechanized infantry, that help you get on and off a transport, and in this case the team has a light mortar. Now I think this is pretty useless. Why not take normal light mortars, especially with the new improved range? Then we have armored infantry machine gun squad. Yep, so same as above, but basically you get to have a light machine gun in the squad. Again, I don't particularly see the point. Truth be told, I might be wrong. And then you have these weird rules that basically you can take one armored infantry machine gun squad for each platoon, but if this squad is included, then you can add one additional bazooka team. Just like this. This rule doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. Then we have not one, but two kinds of engineers. We have regular engineers and airborne engineers. Now, of course, the airborne engineers are better because they are stubborn. So you will always want to take stubborn troopers if you can. Yeah, they cost a single point more, but it's way too good not to take. Even though you can have your engineers specialized with the Air Land Sea special rule. Plus, you technically can take the regular engineers as regulars, while the airborne engineers are strictly veterans. Then again, if you take engineers, usually you run them as veterans anyway. Then we have the US paratrooper squad, usual stuff, people with rifles and a light machine gun, stubborn. We have Pathfinders, which were a kind of unit that basically can help you re-roll a failed order test to come into the table, if pretty much like the German Felgendarmerie work, only these are at least 90 points because you have 6 veteran riflemen, stubborn, who has to be in reserve in order for the others to benefit from this rule. So again, this troop makes no sense to me. And you have gliders, which are kind of the poor man's paratroopers. They can have basically the same kit, more or less. Let me see. You can't have a light machine gun, but it doesn't make me crazy. We have a glider machine gun squad, which can be stubborn but works more or less the same way as the armored machine gun squad, and the ranger squad, which is as usual super strong. Now I can't recall. Now the ranger squad is given at a minimum squad size of 1 NCO and 4 men. Now I don't remember honestly, so quote me or correct me, feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I can't recall on top of my head if this was FAQ'd in the February FAQs and bumped up to 1+5, but anyway, Ranger squads super strong with a Rangers lead the way special rule, which again, it was so strong that if you were allowed to have a single unit of Rangers, it would already be powerful. But now that you have this stupid possibility of making a whole bunch of people Rangers, again, if you have guessed, I don't like this. Then we have the I&R squad, Intelligence and Reconnaissance Platoon. What do? Nothing special. They are not even infiltrators, but they can spot hidden enemies at range 18 rather than 12. And you can have a maximum in a force of 2 of these squads. Again, another squad that I think is basically useless. Then we have the US Marines. They can have plenty of shotgun. They are iconic, so it's okay. USMC Raider Squad. So basically a pimped up Marine Corps squad. Again, with the love of having special units with special rules. These are stubborn and tough fighters, and basically people will pick these over the others. They do have a lesser starting unit composition. They begin with 1 NCO and 3 men, while the US Marines begin at 1 and 6. 1 and 6? I wonder if this is a typo or not, because most other squads are like 1 and 5, or 1 and 3 in case of the silly little squads. The Marines are 1 and 6. Again, I don't know if it's a typo or not, honestly. While the Raiders are small, it's super cool, super shooty, super DACA, stubborn, tough fighters, etc. So people will take this. Then we have Merrill's Marauders squad, because what we needed was yet another uber veteran unit. And if you were thinking about taking the USMC Raider squad because you thought it was strong, then you will end up taking Merrill's Marauders, because they begin with 1+4. They can have up to 7 additional men, so you can get up to 12 men in total. They can have SMGs, they can have BARs, no LMG. But they are stubborn, tough fighters. They have the horrible fieldcraft rule. So, alright, this basically, the Germans can have the old Gebirgsjäger fieldcraft, ubiquitous fieldcraft units. The US doesn't have a whole lot of fieldcraft units. They have only the Merrill's Marauders, which technically operated in not in all combat theaters, so they usually fought in Burma. So again, if you like fighting in the Southeast, in Southeast Asia, feel free to take them. But if you play against me, we pretend to be in Normandy, you bring Merrill's Marauders, I will fart in your general direction. And then they have long-range penetration. When they outflank, they can reroll failed order tests. So they basically reroll a rerollable 10. Then we have the Philippine Scout Squad, which can be mounted on horses. And again, this is a unit that I'm willing to bet that nobody will ever take. We have the US Army Military Police Corps. These are the ones that work as field gendarmerie squads, but they, besides getting traffic direction, the rules that, since the Americans already get no minus for their reserve roles because of the efficient communications, if you add an MP Corps squad, they get +1 to the roll. Plus, they also, just sprinkled in, they have the get back in the fight rule, which means that if a friendly unit fails an attempt to rally, they can reroll if they are within 6 inches of an MP squad. Fluffy, but eh. Then we have the poor man's rear detachment squad, a squad that begins with 5 men, inexperienced, that counts as having no NCO at all, and cannot use your nation special rule. Again, why? The only way you could play this is in a custom scenario, in my opinion. And if you're building a custom scenario, you don't need to have a dedicated entry for a useless bunch of inexperienced men. You can just use inexperienced riflemen. MMG, we know the drill. HMG, usual stuff. Bazooka, usual. Sniper teams, flamethrower. I'm going forward fast because they are always the same. The USMC War Dog, this was spoiled already. I cited them in my video as well. Then we have a heavy weapons rifle team, which basically are riflemen that you can take in a heavy weapon platoon, but with very few men. Again, I think these are absolutely pointless, but that's me. Then we have an interesting entry, the light mortar team. They come in two forms. They come, well, in the provisional, in the big rule book, in the main rule book, the entry for the American light mortar stated that it was a 3-man team. You could actually skim 5 points, I think, by losing 1 man and reverting back to the 2-man light mortar. In the Army book, it's slightly different. You take a 2-man team if you are airborne or ranger, and you take the 3-man version if you are US Army or Marines. So I don't know what they. I mean, it's probably true. I'm not sure about this. I'm not interested. But so this is it. So if you play regular Army, you get 3 men. If you go the airborne or rangers way, you get only 2. Then we have the medium mortar, the heavy mortar, the usual artillery, field artillery, light artillery, medium, heavy, recoilless. You get a rocket launcher, because who doesn't want a rocket launcher, which they have the option to take by air, land, or sea, so you can have your your paratrooper rocket launcher. I'm sorry, it's just so silly, it's really so stupid. Then we have a bunch of anti-aircraft guns, heavy autocannon, 2 light autocannons, 1 super heavy anti-tank gun, which is the 88 of the American list. It basically works the same as a German 88, the version with 5 men, and they don't have the double firing mode. So it's basically a flak. It's a flak rule because it's under anti-aircraft guns, but it's basically an anti-tank gun. Then we have the nice M51 multiple machine gun carriage, which can be fielded technically in medium and late war. It gives you 4 men and 4 HMGs. And again, the particularity is that technically this is not a vehicle mounted weapon, so technically they should shoot the whole 6x4 24 HMG shots at a whopping 110 points for regular. The only drawback, it's flak, and the only drawback is that it's cumbersome, so it counts as a heavy. Oh no, take that away, didn't read it carefully. It counts as a heavy gun for the purposes of movement, and it counts as a vehicle mounted machine gun for the purposes of determining the numbers of shots. So it's just the normal 12 shots, not 24. My mistake. As I said, it was just a cursory look, so I didn't read it through carefully. Anti-tank guns, usual light anti-tank, medium, heavy. So if you want the super heavy anti-tank gun, you take the anti-aircraft gun. Then we have the usual slew of vehicles. We have the new poster boy for the United States, the M3 Stuart light tank. Why I'm saying the new poster boy? Because it allows you to basically take, in the M3 out of the mill version, allows you to add two hull-mounted forward-facing LMGs that have to shoot against the same target. So it's Super Dakka tank, only light tank, so damage value of 8, can be wrecky, usual 10 points, is vulnerable, but I bet many US players are going to develop a love for the M3 if they didn't already. We have a whole bunch of variants. Now take note that the basic M3 does not have gyro stabilizers though. Then we have the M3A1, M3A3, M3A1 with flamethrower. Then we have my all-time favorite light tank, which is the M5, M5A1, which is basically always the same, only with less Dakka. M77 mechanized flamethrower, light tank, armed only with a flamethrower. The Chaffee light tank, the M3 Lee/Grant with improved HE all over the place. The M4 Sherman, again the usual abundance of variation, 75 millimeters, 76 millimeters. The Jumbo heavy assault tank, the 105 millimeters howitzer, which is strong, of course, because howitzers are cool. We have the Calliope with our beloved multiple launcher, the various Zippo, various versions of that, Sherman Crocodile, DD Sherman, Sherman Dozer, the Pershing heavy tank, which I never seen in real life once. Then we have a bunch more vehicles, these landing the amphibious vehicles, the Alligator, another flamethrower. Then a bunch of tank destroyers, M10, the various motor carriages, so armor carriers and or soft skins, M10, M18, M36, the usual stuff. Self-propelled artillery with the Priest, the M20, which is with a heavy howitzer, just like that. M40, another heavy howitzer, heavy howitzers all the way. Lots of howitzers. Lots. Plus we have 75 millimeter howitzer, a slew of howitzers all over the place. Mortar carriers, mortar jeep. Again, this was spoiled with a light mortar. I mean, a regular mortar jeep is 45 points when the light mortar itself was, I already forgot, 30 or 35. I guess again it's all because of the platoon system, which, as you know, I don't particularly like. Again, another vehicle, a soft skin with a rocket launcher, because why not? And then we have the anti-aircraft vehicles, an M13 with two HMGs, the M15, which was spoiled which has one heavy autocannon and 2 HMGs, the old M16 with 4 HMGs, a 4 HMG truck, soft skin, then a couple of armored cars, M8, M20, reconnaissance jeep, airborne armored jeep, then another unit that I find completely ridiculous. I don't know if it's historical or not. Again, please comment if you know. The armored jeep with twin bazookas. This sounds like, I mean, the effect it has on me as I read this, and it looks like they pulled it out of a Metal Slug or another bullet hell kind of game. Again, it might be historical, in which case I apologize, but it just sounds so stupid to have a double bazooka on top of a moving jeep. Ridiculous. Bunch of transports, half-tracks, scout scars, transport jeeps, trucks, the usual stuff. Some tractors, again a whole slew of vehicles that nobody will ever use. Landing crafts, even though there already are rules in the main rulebook, right? Here you have a bunch more landing crafts, ambulances, and then in the end the usual by now section with simple armies. We have USMC Beach Assault that clock at 1000 points, US Army in the Northwest 1250, US Rangers D-Day 1000 points, US Airborne 1945 at 750 points. And then we have the 4 selection guides, which basically sums up which kind of units you can use in early, mid or late war. So this was a quick rundown of the content in the new Army book. What to make of it? Personally, I forgot, the price, always the same, 30 euros, at least here in Italy. It's a book that you need. Technically, yes, if you play the United States, you need it. You can make do with the Warlord official app that has included the if you don't mind the fluff or the added explanations. You don't need to buy these books, because by themselves they are not, I don't think they're worth their price. Or you can find other websites that let you build your army lists unofficially. And again, this is a trend that has been set by the armies of Germany, and it's easy to imagine that it's going to be the same with all the next books. So the next one is the armies of the UK, which is again a slew of vehicles, stuff that very specialized, which I mean technically is good if you like, as I hope you do, to play in so many different scenarios. If you have the time, if you have the models, if you have if you have the scenarios, the objectives, the houses, the woods, the whatever, and if you do, it would be cool to use all these niche units and rules. But in most cases, I feel this is just a waste of ink. Again, I might be too harsh, maybe I am, Maybe one day I will apologize for these words, but yeah, I don't think this book brings so much to the table. Then again, not much was needed in the first place. Again, very personal opinion, which is why I'm stating this, because it's my channel after all. I don't need 30 different type of units, of which the playable ones are like 10, 15, more or less the ones you see in 90 and plus % of your games. You don't need, like for the Armies of Germany, I don't need 100 vehicles, which, by the way, given the fact that the choice, and I agree on the choice made by warlords to have, you have like light anti-tank gun, medium, heavy, super heavy, 4 types. I mean, you can have 100 vehicles, but many of them are identical copies of each other. And of many of these, there are no models. So again, I feel that 90%, maybe it's less, maybe I'm exaggerating. Let's boast 90% of the player base will not care about 3/4 of the new vehicles, of the new stuff you've added. Either they're interested because they are very strong, if you want to play competitively, like for example, I don't know if Marauders will be the new tournament meta. I don't know. I don't really care about competitive gaming. But then again, they are either strong or they are fluff. So again, I'm not excited about this book. How would I rate it on a 1 to 10? I don't know. Let's say 6, because I'm being generous. I just hope, again, from a cursory look, there seem to be less errors and mistakes than in the ones in the Armies of Germany book, which was horrible, because then again there were many mistakes, so you had to have a day 1 errata FAQ/errata, which didn't even address all the mistakes that were published in the Armies of Germany book. And there's nothing I hate more than having a new, freshly released book and having either to add extra pages with the FAQs and the erratas, or to manually correct the mistakes. There's nothing that irks me more than having to do this with a book I just received. So I hope, at least in this regard, they did a better job at proofreading the book. It would already be something. Alright, this video is already being too long. It's almost 40 minutes, way too long than I originally intended, so I'm going to cut it short. As for future content, I hope I can start bringing you soon some after-action reports about the new and upcoming Operation Market Garden campaign. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a live video a couple of days ago. Check it out. It goes there I speak about the overall aspect and rules of the campaign, and I hope to be covering every single battle in after action report format to give you an idea of how things are progressing. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, as usual, be safe and ciao ciao.